So send me an email and I'll double check. Sometimes, sometimes your mail database can become corrupted, and there's, I can't remember the commands off the top of my head to redo that, but that's what I'm going to search for and see if that's what's causing it. Otherwise, I'll let you know.
Okay, I'll send you an email. Thank you.
Cool. Anyone else? Problems? All right, so let's look at our short schedule real quick. And I actually caught back up. I think I'm back on track with what I was going to talk about today. Once again, the quizzes, you know, all the quizzes together are about 5% of your grade. And if you did poorly on one or two, it's not going to kill you. But they will help you review for the questions like we're going to see on the final. I guess we ought to, before we take that SMTP quiz, maybe do a little review before that, see if there's anything that hopefully we can do better. I haven't actually looked at your scores for the other quiz, but the other thing to point out is, let's see, about 3 weeks out is our first practical exam. So have that scheduled right now for November 8th. We're actually kind of, we only have a couple more assignments, believe it or not. I mean, 5 or 6, I don't know how much. Let's go. So we've got, and there actually might be one more that pops up here, but after the DNS subdomain, we've got another file systems one, and then 2 web apps, which shouldn't take all that long. So there's 3, 4, 5 real assignments, and then we start in on our review assignments. So, yeah, about 5. There's one other one I was thinking of, but I might just modify one of these to make it work. So, about 5 more real assignments, and then these last 4 assignments, so 9 assignments, but the last 4 are just reviewing everything we've done so far, getting us ready for the practical. So, yay, we should be caught up and ready for that. Okay, so I need to talk about, excuse me, the next, I'm not going to talk about file systems, I'll talk about that after the break again. Yeah, you can pretty much do it, but we're going to use the GPT partition table instead of the DOS partition table for that one. And we'll talk about some of those other things. So the assignment basically for web application 1 and web application 2 is to create a new web virtual host for a web application. This includes DNS, sites available, sites enabled, document root. Select a web application that is available. This application must have a non-trivial function, must use a database system. Before choosing an application, read the section about not just installing from apt-get. Here's some examples of applications. I have not tested or installed most of these, but there's an example that's Moodle, an address book, Xoops, or I don't even say it, like WordPress. Anyway, so ELGG, social networking engine, PHP, BB. There's some examples there with some links. And so you want to download, install, untar it, or extract it, put in the right document root, configure your database to connect, that sort of thing. Now I have done an example of how I would install WordPress. And I've done a second example of how I'd install PHP My Admin. You can use one of these for one of your web app assignments if you want. Can't use both. So you can use my examples if you want for one of them, but for the other one you got to find your own. So here's WordPress. How many of you use WordPress? Or you've heard of it, right? Okay. So anyway, I went in and I added a CNAME for my www machine called WP. And I didn't take a picture of every screen. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, several of you have emailed me about SMTP satellite. You didn't have a screenshot for this. Well, if I don't have a screenshot for it, don't do anything. Just pass it by, right? I took a screenshot if I changed something. If I didn't change anything, just hit enter and go to the next screen. I made sure that my DNS resolution was working correctly by pinging WP. Great. And then I went into my sites available and I created a new virtual host, server name, document root, correct location. And then I enabled that website using A2 Insight. I did Apache 2 reload and I went and visited it in the browser. Good. Looks like DNS is working and it looks like my virtual host is working. So the next thing to do is I went over to the download page for WordPress and I found this link, whatever, tar.gz. I copied it, I did a wget and copied it to my var HTML WP directory. It extracted everything. Once again, I probably didn't copy the screen where I extracted it, but that's the idea, is I extracted it. And then, I visited the directory in a browser. So I just went and created a WordPress directory, and I went to WordPress, whatever. I think there was some instruction there I must have read to tell me where to go. But it says, hey, we need some information about the database. Well, before I do that, I need to go create the database. So I went over to my MySQL machine, and I created a database called Cowboy WordPress. Cowboy is my username, password is yeehaw. And then I went back here, and it prompted me. I put in that stuff, database host, so forth and so on. Oh, and then it says, okay, I've generated this configuration file for you in PHP. You need to now take this and manually paste it into wp-config.php. And so I did that. VI was empty. I pasted it in. And then it says, after you've done that, click run the install. So then I click run the install. And then it asks for some stuff. What do you want to name this? What's the username of the person that can log in? What's your email? And then you click install WordPress. Success, everything's been installed, good job. And then I can log in as that new user that I created. And yay, I'm in WordPress. And that's as much as I know about WordPress. I don't know how to use it after that. So it pretty much utilizes a lot of the concepts then that we've done so far. Here's another example, PHP MyAdmin, which you're going to see is very similar. Has anyone used that application before? It allows you to manage your MySQL databases from a web interface rather than command line. So added another CNAME, PHP MyAdmin, sites enabled, virtual host, document root, enable the site, test the placeholder, yay, it's working. Then I went and I downloaded the package. I had to go find it. Now, if you don't use my links, because I guarantee that they've changed since I've downloaded it, so these links are probably not going to work. So I did unzip, but I had to install unzip first. Then I extracted it all. Then I went into the directory. And in fact, I didn't like this directory name, PHP MyAdmin -- so I renamed it because it was way too long for me. So I could just type PHP MyAdmin to get into that directory. And then I visited in the website, the setup page, and okay, and just whatever. Hey, you need this, you need this, you need this. Fix all the problems. So how do I fix it if it says you need bzip 2?
Find bzip 2.
Install bzip 2. Okay. Please create a web server writable folder config in the PHP add MyAdmin top level directory. Okay. So I went and fixed all those problems. This one I installed bz2, but it's a PHP module. So I did a search for PHP grep for bzip. Oh, okay, let's try that one, or bzip2, whatever. Install that, refresh the page, that error went away. Then I did it again, let's grep for zip. Is there something about PHP with zip? Oh, that one looks good, I'll try that one. And I refreshed the page, and now it has one error left. So then I went and I created that config directory, choned it to the right user. Essentially, you visit the setup page after creating the config folder. After you've correctly made the config, copy it to the correct location. Just like I didn't take a copy of that, but it was just like I did in the last example. After you hit like next or something, then it gives you a bunch of